The wedding industry was one of the hardest hit by travel and social gatherings regulations of COVID-19 lockdown across the world and indeed here in South Africa. Even the less stringent regulations under lockdown level 3 and 2 restricted weddings to gatherings of only 50 people. And I believe that continues. It left many couples pulling out their hair about how to host their special day, many of them waiting their entire lives for it. Many deciding to rather postpone their nuptials altogether. But one couple embraced these unprecedented times we find ourselves in and went ahead with their special day. And they join us now. That's newlyweds Tracey Lange and Avukile Mabombo, who joins us live via Skype from Cape Town. Thank you so much for joining us. Tracey, I wasn't sure if there's a surname change or whatever happening, so I'll continue to call you Tracey Lange for now. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now, Tracey, you're well known as a TV and radio presenter and executive producer of your own television talk show as well. Avukile, you are known as a marketing guru in various fields. You got engaged, I believe, if memory serves, in New York, and it was all beautiful, and the stage was set for the wedding to follow. What was going through your minds when you realized, okay, COVID-19 is happening and so is lockdown. Are we going to go ahead with this wedding, and how are we going to go ahead with it?
Well, actually, initially it was a case from on my side. I just thought, let's wait it out and see what happens. And then with the president's last address in August, Avukile, the following morning, we woke up and he said, are we going to go ahead with this? And I said, well, if you're okay with it, with the numbers that we should be, the numbers we should be having was going to be about 180, just over 180. And Avukile said, okay, so are we going to go ahead on the date that we wanted, which was the 1st of October? And he said, let's run. And I went, cool, let's make it happen. And we did it in just over 32 days. We planned everything.
Now, Avukile, I had a bit of a laugh when I spoke to a wedding organizer a while ago, and she suggested, you know, with these restrictions of 50 people, you can invite 50 people to the ceremony and a different set of 50 people to the reception. And I said, are you smoking your socks? Have you met some of our families? How are you going to do that? You said you had an initial list of 180, but you had a special way of incorporating the important people in your lives, friends and family, and one of them being that you decided to have a preception celebration instead of a reception. Tell us about what went into your thinking around that.
Well, when we decided to go ahead and we started working out the numbers, I think the big challenge was that would we be able to fit the people that we ultimately want or need to have at our wedding within the 50. And when we had that 50, we realized, I mean, it's pretty much 95% family only, right? But, you know, obviously we've got some really special friends that I think we would have been very upset if we didn't share any part of the experience with them. So that's when we came up with the idea of the preception, which would have been ultimately I guess a joint bachelor/bachelorette party. So we were never going to necessarily split the guests in terms of certain guests at the ceremony and certain guests at the reception, just based on the logistics of people traveling and etc. So to just get someone to travel all the way down just to attend one of those things just wouldn't be unfair. So that was always going to be the same group of people. So the preception we held the week before the wedding, and that was really a fun event with just our friends. Just I guess a normal party that you would share with your friends, a lot less stressful, but I think still felt like it was part of the festivity and the celebrations, which was great. So ultimately, you know, we managed to get to share the celebration with 100 people, even though it was over 2 separate events.
Yeah, and it took pressure off us, I can tell you that, because then we started then, and then it was easier the closer we came to the wedding day.
well, speaking of that, Tracey, I mean, you both come from very close families. You from the Helderberg area down in Cape Town, Avukile from the Eastern Cape. Oh, was it difficult to have those conversations, perhaps, with people that unfortunately couldn't make the cut, because you also had to keep family members in mind? I mean, Avukile, as a grandfather that's in his 90s, so health and safety was top of mind as well, I'm sure.
It was, definitely. And on the point of Avukile's grandfather, when Avukile said to me that the family is a bit concerned about his health and in COVID times, traveling to Cape Town, and they're thinking that he might not come. And I said to him, well, if that's the case, then I'm not sure we should be getting married. He is 97. His grandfather's 97. But you know what? His grandfather made it here, and he was the star of the day. Really, he was fantastic. But in terms of family, I come from such a big family. But it's family that we speak to all the time and that understands when you tell them, listen, here, things can't happen a certain way. And I was even told by some of my cousins, from my dad's side alone, we are nearly 100 people. We are over 80, I think we are just over 80 people, 86 or 87. And when I told my cousins, listen, I won't be able to invite all of you, just understand I can invite those that I grew up, but my same age group, the ones I actually played with when I was kids, and we'd grown up together. And they just went, that's fine, Tracey. Just make sure that at the reception, you tell people that the reason we aren't there is because we have very important business meetings, and that's why we decided not to come. So it was good. Everyone understood. And there's still a lot of other times to celebrate this. That's the other big thing people must remember.
Now Avukile, we talk about living in unprecedented times because of COVID, but we also live in interesting times. I think you were probably one of the first people that I knew that went onto Twitter some more than a decade ago. There is that pressure of, you know, if it isn't popping on social media, did the wedding even pop, you know, that kind of thing. Was any of that in your thought processes when you were putting together your day?
Not at all, hey. And I think that, I mean, we were reflecting the day afterwards just how smoothly things went. But I think, you know, from day one, you know, if you're going to do something within these times, you definitely need to throw out whatever scrapbook and, you know, ideas and plans that you've had for your wedding prior to COVID. Because I think the thing that's going to give you lots of angst and frustration is trying to implement these plans and dreams that you've had for the last 5, 10, 20, some people 30 years, and thinking that you're going to be able to execute them in these times. I think for us, the thing that we knew was important was we've managed to get the right people to fit within the numbers in the same room. And to be honest, as much as we then had a vision which we were trying to kind of implement, there was nothing that we were precious about. So there's so many things that changed throughout these 32 days. I mean, we changed the venue 9 days before the actual wedding. We changed wedding planners before the, you know, in that process. So all of these things were kind of just quite fluid, actually. And I think if you accept that these are the times we're living in, and there's a lot of things that are going to get thrown your way, I think you then kind of relieve yourself of a lot of that frustration. And as long as you kind of know what's the most important thing, then everything falls into place. And I mean, as much as it felt like it was the perfect day for us, but it didn't go exactly according to plan. But the things that didn't happen, we weren't precious about. And I think that's what made it easy. Now,
Tracey, just before we go, we were running a little bit out of time. One of the other stars of your wedding was, of course, the mother city, the city of Cape Town. And you guys decided to get onto one of those famous sightseeing buses with your wedding retinue, your wedding party, as it were. And instead of, you know, the pictures that you always see on beautiful wine farms and mountains and, you know, that kind of thing, you decided to use the city that you love as your backdrop. Tell us quickly how that came about.
We are crazy about traveling, but we love the city more. We love Cape Town and we love living here. And Avukile posted something. He tweeted something saying, this is the city where we met. It's the city we love. It's the city where we live. And that is why we decided we want pictures all over the city. And we decided that we've got this huge bridal party. We want everyone in one space so that we can keep the vibe going. It was the best thing ever. Someone suggested a bus. And the next thing we know, we contacted Cape Town Tourism. We said, this is our dream. Will it be possible? They allowed us to speak to City Sightseeing South Africa, and they gave us this beautiful hop-on, hop-off bus. And we traveled all around the city with our bridal party, people inside it, with food, and we had so much fun taking the pictures all over the city. It is the best thing ever, because you know what? Less stress in terms of, are all the cars following each other to the right place? But it was fantastic. It was the best thing on the way back. When we finished the shoot, everyone was so tight, they went quiet. It was like naughty kids who had had so much fun, and on the way home, they were just like, fast asleep. We needed to carry them off the bus nearly, but no, it was just so good. Fantastic.
Well, those pictures really do tell the stories. Thank you so much for sharing your special day with us. That's Tracey, Lange and Avukile Mabombo, newlyweds down in Cape Town, who took us along and told us about how they went about putting together their special day, even with COVID-19 restrictions around us, and just made it very innovative and new and special for everybody involved.